Nothing Personal starts in 30 seconds. It's just business. This is Nothing Personal.
Here you go.
43 years. That's the Nothing Personal word of the day. It's Monday, October 21st, 2024. It's been 43 years since the Los Angeles Dodgers met the New York Yankees in the World Series, and that's what we're going to get after a weekend of crazy baseball. 2 League Championship Series matchups where MLB got, the fans got, the country got, the world got the matchup of their dreams. Why does it matter? We've talked about it. You know this is Nothing Personal, fans of the show. You know. Can you imagine what they're doing in MLB's offices when they realized that the Yankees had clinched and were going to? They would have liked 6 or 7 games, don't get me wrong, but they needed the Yankees over the Guardians. When they realized that they didn't have to deal with a regional Subway Series because the Dodgers were going to win in 6 games, they would have liked the 7th, but can't take the chance. All of the advertising and effort they've put in to promote Shohei Ohtani make him the face of worldwide baseball. The ability to have the National League pennant-winning Dodgers go to Japan to open next year's season. All of the positive business implications that come with a Dodgers-Yankees World Series. We will have plenty of time to discuss the matchup on the field, plenty of time to discuss the matchup off the field. This is a World Series where there are approximately 23 teams rooting for a tie. If you took a poll of an owner of every low revenue, low payroll team, they would look at this and say, good for baseball. I hope they share more of their revenue. Not good for baseball, no matter what I do. How do I get to a World Series? Because owners have a very good habit of saying, I don't remember. The Guardians weren't good this year, were they? The Orioles weren't good, I don't think. And I can't remember whether the Royals or the Tigers were good, but try to remind me. This is the time of year when owners look at the matchup and say, hey, I don't have a chance to make a World Series. I don't have enough. I need to get more of your money, and you've got to stop signing all these players and having the payroll so high. Of course, the playoffs started with us saying the opposite. The owners are looking and saying, crikeys, I don't need a big payroll. The union was frantic. You don't need a big payroll to make the playoffs. And once you make the playoffs, just get hot. Get a little guy named Giancarlo to be hot, or Tommy Edman, and you could be just fine. It's funny how it works inside. The most stressful owners meeting of the year is the one in November after the World Series, when you have to applaud the owners who won the World Series, and the other owners sit there and do an applause that really is so uninspiring. It's sort of like walking into Meadowlark Studios after winning an award. It goes something like this. Hey, pass the scrambled eggs. Also tough on the commissioner because they have to start going through the numbers at the November meeting. What teams are doing what the offseason looks like. But we're not nearly there. We've got a buildup of 4 days to game 1 of the World Series. There's no baseball until Friday. This feels very Super Bowl-like. When you get the 2 biggest markets in your World Series, when you get the biggest superstars in the game, Ohtani, can you imagine MLB languishing with Ohtani with 0 postseason at-bats? No postseason appearances, being in such a big market like Anaheim and never being able to put a team together. Artie Moreno must be looking around and saying, wow, it turns out I do stink. Ohtani has an opportunity now He's already done it. Who's kidding ourselves? The guy, I think he got on base like 17 times during the LCS. With runners in scoring position, I think he's hitting over 800. He's just global. Someone asked me, Coca, on maybe davidsamsonpodcast.com, whether I would have agreed to have Ohtani behind the plate if we were playing the Dodgers and there was an ad for an opposing player behind the plate. And I reminded that person, thank you for reaching out to me, that MLB controls all the signage you see in the ballpark. It is MLB generated. It is for MLB's account. When you sell behind the plate signage during the regular season, that's for you. During the postseason, your ballpark is taken over. And that revenue is split between umpires and players and you as the hosting team or the participating team. And then the players who participate in the playoffs get playoff shares, and the money's put into a huge pot. Ohtani and his, I don't remember the brand. Isn't that funny? Not an effective commercial. I mean, it could be Beats, Coca, where they show him behind home plate advertising. No. During the regular season, would I have allowed it? Yeah. I say no because I'm joking with you. Can you imagine if a team came to me? We would sell, side note, Coca, we would go to companies and say, hey, we'd go to a New York company and say, why don't you buy behind home plate for 1 inning only when we're playing the Mets at home the 9 times a year we used to play them at home. So we would charge them $9.81s, 1/9 of our rate card, just to do a ad that would mean nothing to anyone except the people watching TV in New York on the New York feed, because we would control home plate signage. So would I take money from a company that wanted to advertise with an opposing team's player? Yeah, obviously. When the Yankees clinched, I was so happy for Giancarlo. Giancarlo Stanton is the MVP. Being the MVP of the LCS, Cody Ross was the MVP of an LCS. Pretty cool. It's cool to be that. But in order to be remembered, you have to be the MVP of the World Series. In order for you to be remembered as a postseason performer, you have to win the World Series. Getting to the World Series simply isn't enough. And Giancarlo Stanton was clear. It's not good enough just to make it. He said it before the final game of the LCS. He said it after the final game of the LCS. This is great. But recognizing we got to keep going. We have 4 more games to go. One of the things about the excitement of winning the pennant, it means that your coaching staff gets to coach in the All-Star game the next year. It means that you get a ring no matter what, whether it's a pennant ring or a World Series ring. Either way, there's a ring that comes. You get to do a banner raising no matter what, whether it's the pennant or the World Series banner. But the truth is, winning the pennant is nice. The trophy's good. Did you notice how you get the trophy when you win the pennant? If you watch the locker room celebration, it's not from the commissioner. The commissioner only gives you that amazing piece of gorgeous Tiffany-made metal that you dream of having, and they can never take away from you, only at the end. A lot of talk about Juan Soto. We'll have plenty of time to talk about his free agency. Not today. What we can talk about is he's 26 years old, hitting a 3-run extra innings home run in the clinching game following Stanton's 2-run tying home run. Just remarkable to watch what he's done. I hope that you go back and watch him in 2019 when he was a child, although at 26, I could argue he still is. Soto's going for his 2nd ring, not his 1st. Judge and Stanton are in their 1st World Series. It's not too early for me to do a mea culpa on a couple things. I don't mind being wrong. I really don't. And I have strong opinions about Jazz Chisholm. I was under the assumption whoever traded for him, their team would be done. And I was wrong. The Yankees traded for Jazz. From what I have, from what I understand, I'm not breaking news. I'm not an investigative journalist. Let's just say the Yankees have found a way to deal with Jazz. And it has been more positive than negative, and he has now won a pennant. I have spent many hours talking about Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman and saying that Hal Steinbrenner's got to stop being more like George, and he's got to get rid of them. They need to change. There needs to be a change. This team came together, adding Juan Soto, somehow getting a bullpen to perform with names that you haven't heard of, except when you said that Clay Holmes stinks. Luke Weaver was around. He's journeyman, a veteran journeyman who's now a lockdown closer for the most part. Sometimes you just need that, even with a $300 million payroll. I assumed when the Yankees signed Soto that they would not make the World Series. I thought Soto would help their team, but what they really needed was pitching. The irony is that Rodon is up and down. Cole is postseason Cole decent, but mostly fine. Their third starter is Clark Schmidt. Their fourth starter is Luis Gil. Come on. Their bullpen has nobody, in theory, until they perform. That's why I told you in December of 23, I'm going back for some wait to sees, Coca, because we promised the audience. On December 7th, 2023, I said the New York Yankees will not make the World Series in 2024. I'm owning it. I was wrong. 5 days later, the Dodgers, with their $1 billion offseason, signing Yamamoto, Dodgers signing Ohtani, a 1 year for Teoscar Hernandez, who was silent in the LCS until the deciding game when his bat woke up from its small slumber, very normal, small sample size, not even worth mentioning in the regular season. But I said on December 12th, I said the Dodgers are not going to win the pennant. And so they did. I even doubled down 10 days later. That's how sure I was. I said 10 days later on December 22nd of 23, double down, dudes. The Dodgers, that's so many D's, will not win the pennant. I would say that I was wrong. I also was wrong that the Mets would win it because they'd beaten the Brewers. That whole stat is finished. Can never mention it again. My favorite Brewers stat. You beat the Brewers, you win the pennant. Every time. Not anymore. So that's a stupid stat. Stupid coincidence. No causation whatsoever. Never going to mention that one again. Something else happened in the game, in the Guardians-Yankees game, I want to mention quickly because it's another way to see. Only a week ago, not even October 15th. Remember that Guardians pitcher? Go check the tape if you have it. He threw 4 wild pitches in an inning. He went full Charlie Sheen wild thing, and I had to wait to see that Joey Cantillo would never pitch again in the LCS after those wild pitches. Bless his heart, man. Stephen Vogt gave him a vote of confidence, put him back on the bump, and he actually was able to pitch. So I got that one wrong too, which is I didn't think he'd literally ever pitch again. So I'm watching the Dodgers last night, and I'm thinking about the commissioner. I'm thinking about the owners. I'm thinking about baseball. I'm thinking about the people in LA who want so badly for their 2020 title not to be the only title of this unbelievable run that they're on. It's sort of like the Astros needing to win another World Series after 2017 so they can say to themselves it wasn't just the garbage can stealing World Series. That's how the Dodgers feel about the COVID bubble in Texas World Series win from 4 years ago. They won it. I'm watching Ohtani having fun. I'm watching Freddie Freeman trying to win his second ring. Don't forget he won it in Atlanta. Coca, please check on this if you can. Everyone's saying if the Yankees win the World Series, then they'll have to re-sign Soto, of course. I believe the Braves won the World Series in 2021, and then Freddie Freeman went to the Dodgers. So there is a world where the Yankees win the World Series and Soto doesn't re-sign with them. There is no correlation between winning the World Series and then re-signing unless you are the Lerner family who gets suckered by Scott Boras. Other than that, there is no direct correlation. I was thinking about the Dodgers, watching them. I couldn't stop thinking about what was going on in Japan and what was going on in the commissioner's office. And then I got to thinking about something a little more funny, a little funnier. Has Artie Moreno come out from under his shell yet? Have we heard anything from him? Artie Moreno is the owner of the other team in town. The Angels do not like the Dodgers. The Dodgers do not like the Angels. The Yankees don't like the Mets. The Mets don't like the Yankees. The Cubs don't like the White Sox. The White Sox don't like the Cubs. They are competitors. Forget what they say publicly. That is truth. I wonder how Artie Moreno feels watching Ohtani win the pennant, going to the World Series. I would say that Mike Trout must be smiling, a smile of disdain, contempt, and disgust. Although I assume he's with his kids and loving life, given the fact that if he wanted out of Anaheim, he could have gotten himself out of Los Angeles. Happy. I'm happy for him. Mike Trout's not even in any conversations about the greatest players in baseball. Too hurt, too much alone time in October to even be in the conversation anymore. But it doesn't sting, given what Trout gets paid. It doesn't sting the way it stings Artie Moreno. I've had players who I have traded or let go who have had postseason success elsewhere. And we've had players who had postseason success with us who didn't have postseason success elsewhere. I thought a lot about the Texas Rangers when Pudge was helping us win a World Series, what that must have felt like to that organization. It is a level of despondency that I cannot describe to you. It's having shoved in your face how wrong you were about something. It's terrible to be shown that way. I was laughing. Artie Moreno pretending he's not watching, having no idea. Believe you me, if the Dodgers win the World Series, when he has to applaud the Dodgers in the owners' meeting, he will do an air applause at best. As a matter of fact, I'll go one better, Coca, and I will find out. That's my commitment to you. Here we go. The November owners meeting or the first owners meeting after the World Series, if the Dodgers win, Artie Moreno's not even going to go. How about that one? Not even going to attend. So he has to face Mark Walter and Stan Kasten. It's so definitely happening. I want to congratulate the Guardians. I want to congratulate the Mets. The Guardians, what they do with their size payroll. The Mets are not underdogs. I never believed in that story, no matter what their active payroll was, no matter what they're paying to Verlander and Scherzer, no matter what their injuries were. I'm not buying any of it. I am buying the fact that they had a good run. They recovered in a season where they could have just continued to flail, flop, and tank. And they turned it around and gave a lot of memories to Mets fans who are not feeling that yet. But time will pass, and you will have some unbelievable memories. My memory of Pete Alonso in one of his last acts as a Met, he hit himself with a foul ball. I don't know if you saw the play, Coca. He fouled the ball off the top of his foot, and he ended up doing a belly flop, like face down. It hurt so much. And it was his last at bat. I was thinking, is that how his Mets career ends? Steve Cohen is going to feel pressure to sign Pete Alonso. We will have plenty of time to discuss the Mets and their offseason plans as the offseason unravels. But Steve Cohen is hopefully taking a minute today. You do not ever want to make a decision on your manager, meaning you don't extend Mendoza today. You don't give him a raise. You don't want to make a decision on David Stearns. Hey, you deserve more. You deserve less. Any of the players, you just take a minute. Let the loss of yesterday wash over you. Let the victory of the last few months when they were the best team in baseball wash over you. And then you start getting ready for spring training. And that is what I expect the Mets will do. As we preview the World Series, we will be able to mention to you all the crazy contributions that the Dodgers got, the fact that Tommy Edman is the MVP of the LCS and what that means when you acquire a player like him at the deadline. It reminds me greatly of the Braves in 2021 when at the deadline they acquired Soler and Duvall and Rosario, and people said, who? Is that Samson Coca? Is that Dewey Cheatham and Howe? Who are these people? Well, guess what? They helped Atlanta get a ring. Tommy Edman in the starting pitcher of the bullpen game, and there will be a bullpen game in the World Series, I promise you, even though they get to line up their pitching. What a great advantage that both the Yankees and the Dodgers have with the off days till Friday. They will line it up exactly as they want. I'm trying to think if the Dodgers have 4 starting pitchers. I think you're going to see a bullpen game. It's a matter of which one. They started Michael Kopech yesterday. Kopech and Edman were acquired at the deadline. I'm not sure that anyone cared. And now look what they've done. Congratulations to the Yankees and Dodgers. I am over the moon about this World Series, Coca, because A, this is the 2 biggest markets with all the superstars. B, it hasn't happened in 3 years. C, it's going to get a ton of positive attention, a ton of positive ratings, a ton of positive press. Is exactly what you could hope for, but better than all of that, it'll be an upset if it doesn't go 6 or 7 games. I would expect this World Series, spoiler alert, to go 7. I'm not giving you my picks yet, but these teams are evenly matched. Let's talk about football. It's so good being in the studio at CBS Sports in Stamford, Connecticut, all the great people who work there doing post-game work, being in the green room where we've got 10 TVs, all different things. Then you can put one game on 5 TVs, make it a big TV. They have a cool digital wall. Got to watch quite a bit of football. It was week 7 yesterday, and I am focused on one thing only. And it's not even something that I could have imagined. Do we have, well, I'm sorry that Deshaun Watson got hurt. The Cleveland Browns quarterback, the $230 million guaranteed man, the Jimmy Haslam special. The I asked my family, and it was no problem signing him because he's so great. Deshaun Watson likely ruptured his Achilles and is likely out for the year. The same Deshaun Watson who Kevin Stefanski had to say last week on Nothing Personal. He didn't say it on Nothing Personal, but we showed you the video. Hey, we have the best chance to win with Watson. And we all knew that that was ridiculous. Total owner involvement, owner meddling about who was playing quarterback, not wanting to admit that Watson was an unmitigated disaster on the field, unmitigated, unrecognizable from the times when he was actually good. The fans were disappointing to me after Watson got hurt. Do not cheer an injury. Don't boo. Don't cheer. Just be respectful. We're not trying. I don't care what Deshaun Watson did off the field. I really don't. I don't even care. You're a murderer. You're a molester. You're whatever you are. I'm not rooting for you to get hurt playing football. I'm rooting for you to be bad. You're darn right I am. I'm rooting for no team to sign you. Yeah, that's for sure. I'm rooting for your team to never win a game. Definitely. Not rooting for you to get hurt. Deshaun Watson's teammates came to his defense after he was treated so poorly by the fans cheering his Achilles injury. But man, you got to workshop how you defend Deshaun Watson. Myles Garrett, when you hear what he said, this boiled my blood.
No one deserves that. I've seen him work his ass off to, get back here, and put a smile on his face, and try to put everything that's outside the facility behind him. Death threats, people come to his house, people, going after his family. No, like I said, no one deserves that, and I hate using the word deserves. I'm usually, pretty consistent saying earned. He hadn't earned it, and he doesn't deserve it. Man does pretty much everything right. He's been a model citizen through college and most of the pros. He plays the game as hard as anyone I've seen. puts everything on the line, willing to throw his body out there, and he plays the game at 100 miles per hour, and there's a risk of being injured, and that he took that risk. But we have to be there for him as a team, as an organization. We can't look down on the guy because of any mistakes on the field or anything off the field. We don't have anything. We don't have any more high ground to look down on the guy.
Wow. That was so good for the first 32 seconds. Nobody should get death threats. We've talked about it, nothing personal. I couldn't agree more. It's outrageous. It's disgusting. It's despicable. It's disgraceful. A model citizen? Myles Garrett telling me that Deshaun Watson is a model citizen as compared to who? Attila the Hun? What exactly are we saying here? Jeffrey Dahmer? Deshaun Watson and his actions off the field, the number of lawsuits, the number of complaints, the number of suspensions. That's who are we modeling to? Taylor Swift fans? Are we modeling to men trying to normalize behavior that should get you imprisoned? I'm just curious. What's model about what he's done? What is the reason that anyone should be defending any of his actions? You want to talk about not giving a player death threats? I'm in. Not cheering when a player gets hurt? I'm in. I want to be very on top of it if I'm the Browns, who I'm going to have say it, and I'm going to be on top of what they say. Because Myles Garrett saying that, the irony of describing Deshaun Watson that way, the delusion, the what are they, out to lunch? If that's his view of a model citizen, I'd hate to see his view of a criminal. Do you think that getting Davante Adams, if you're a Jets fan, was this good? Are you ready to win? Did you feel good? Everything was fine. He's going to learn the playbook. He doesn't need the playbook. Aaron Rodgers will hold down fingers. They'll use the pitch comm so he doesn't run down the red line and the yellow line, and Aaron Rodgers won't be angry with his receivers. It'll be a jolly time. They got their butt kicked last night. Totally embarrassed. Don't worry. Woody Johnson will meet the media, and next time he meets him, he'll say, "This is the best team I put together in 25 years. I'm not going to give up on them. I love these guys. They're 2-5. They're done. They're toast. This is not a quick take. This is not a recency bias take. This has been my take on the Jets. This is a long-term wait to say I'm going to get right." Aaron Rodgers can barely plant off his back foot. He's not going to admit he's hurt. The Jets literally got embarrassed by a Steelers team who played Russell Wilson for no particular reason, except for the fact that they promised Russell Wilson they'd play him if he ever wasn't hurt, and I guess he wasn't hurt. But poor Justin Fields, 4-2, not good enough. Aaron Rodgers had to come up with something. Adams had 3 receptions for 30 yards. He was targeted 9 times, which is about 900% more than Waddle and Tyreek Hill. We'll talk about the Dolphins. It's good that he had 9 targets. Aaron Rodgers looked decent on a few passes. Got an interception that he shouldn't have gotten when he hit Wilson. I think he hit him right in the pads. You might want to think about using your hands to catch a ball with some sticky gloves. Maybe that's just me. Aaron Rodgers said, "I just felt like the energy, and it starts with me. The energy, for whatever reason, at halftime was a little flat. I felt like it was flat before the game, too." If I am the GM and the owner, the president of this team, and I read this quote, I'm not sure there's a level of anger that I've ever felt that I would feel reading this quote, running this team, and having Aaron Rodgers, who is going out of his way to let you know, power. I wish I had power. I have no power. What do I know? I found out when you did that Davante Adams was going to be on the team. Surely you jest. Jerry Zucker, if any of your descendants are watching, were you? That's an airplane reference, folks. Stay with me, all you 1960s, 70s, and 80s people. Aaron Rodgers, you're the quarterback. Does the energy start with you? You're the leader. You're the captain. I wonder if people look at you as a leader and a captain. Or do your teammates look at you and say, wow, that's a very big hat you wear. I just can't see your cattle. They look at Aaron Rodgers and say, holy cow, may I call you wizard? You get where I'm going. Aaron Rodgers is the leader, is leading the New York Jets right into the back alley with a trombone up the keister. It's not good. It's not good in New York. It's over. But don't worry, New York football fans, you've got the Giants. We've got tonight. Who needs tomorrow? We've got Jones, baby. And he's frustrated. Why is Daniel Jones frustrated to be benched? His coach said, hey, I made a change. It was 28-3. We had 100 yards. Maybe create a spark. Maybe do a full Tom Brady Atlanta Falcons comeback. They came back from 28-3. It's totally doable. It's only against the Eagles. We got this. Of course, it didn't happen, and the coach had to say after the game, by the way, we tried to create that spark, but that's just a temporary spark, not a permanent spark. Our permanent spark is the guy we signed to the extension. Mr. Jones, Adam said, come be my quarterback again next week. All right, no problem. Like it's all going to be good. And for Daniel Jones to be frustrated that he was benched makes me laugh. Here's an idea not to get benched. Be good. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. What do I know? I do know that the Miami Dolphins can't score. I do know that I don't know enough about football. You should get some of our football experts in here. Does Meadowlark have any football experts? I mean, we can't say Stu Gatz and Billy Gill, but maybe they are. I need one of them on the show to explain to me how targets work. I know what a target is on the stat page. Hey, we tried to get you the ball. It didn't quite work, but we're trying. We're calling you the play right here. We're going to put the ball in your hand on a little end around. We want you, Tyreek Hill, to make a difference. He got one rushing attempt and had one reception. What about you, Jalen Waddle? We pay you a lot of money. Why don't we call your number a couple times? Just a couple for fun. One reception. The Dolphins have scored as many points this year as they scored in that game last year. One game last year, they got 70. This year, they've got 70 in 6 games. But don't worry, Tua's fine. He's coming back, baby. How great is that? His first eligible game off injured reserve is next week against the Cardinals. I think we told you that that's a wait to see that he'll play in week 8, the first time he can. There's already leaks coming out through the media. This is when you start your leaks if you're the team, if you're the Dolphins. Make sure it's out there. Oh, he's been good for weeks. He's been cleared for weeks. We just were in an abundance of caution. We'll see if we see those words. I always love that. In an abundance of caution, we won't eat nuts on this plane. Hey, we just learned that doesn't matter. I am angry in the past tense. I'm going to work on that. For all the times I couldn't eat my snacks because of I was told not to eat them on the plane, and now the study comes out that it doesn't even matter if you're in row 6 eating nuts and the person in row 69 is allergic. Couldn't even eat my mix with some M&Ms. I had to pick out the M&Ms. What was I even thinking? It's totally absurd as I think about it. Why are we talking about nuts? The abundance of caution with Tua. That's why we held him out, put him on injured reserve so he wouldn't be tempted to play him. The Dolphins season's over at 2-4. Could they recover? No. What will it be like as the president and owner of the team? Hi, I'm Steve Ross. I own the Dolphins. I did just get an $8 billion valuation for 13% that I've sold, so I'm feeling good about my cash position. But when I watch the Dolphins, I elbow Dan Marino in the suite and I say, I'm worried Tua's going to get hurt this play. Don't worry, Stevie. He's going to be just fine. And then he gets another concussion, and then that's the end of his career. It's got to be quite nerve-wracking. When we come back, we are going to promote and preview a movie I got to watch yesterday that's going to be released on Wednesday. It's called The Comeback. Won't you come back? Welcome back to Nothing Personal. This is David Samson coming at you live, 8 a.m. Thank you for downloading and subscribing. Thank you for watching us on the Nothing Personal with David Samson YouTube channel. Thank you for being with us on the DraftKings Network. You can watch us 10 o'clock leading up into the Le Batard show, which is on 11 o'clock Eastern. Spent quite a bit of time talking about baseball. Plenty of baseball to watch. Got a World Series coming up. Still time to watch a movie every day. Meadowlark Media has produced a documentary that will be released on Netflix on Wednesday. It premiered yesterday. The premiere, it premieres on Netflix on Wednesday, October 23rd. It's called The Comeback. It's a documentary in 3 parts about the Boston Red Sox comeback in 2004 to give you an idea of what happened only 20 years ago. The Red Sox, spoiler alert, they were down 3-0 in the league championship series to the New York Yankees and came back to win, becoming the only team to ever come back in baseball from down 3-0. To this day, nobody has come back from down 3-0 except for the Boston Red Sox against the Yankees. This is a 3-part documentary about the Red Sox. I had absolutely nothing to do with it. Didn't even get a call about it. But they did use some Marlins footage because there was some mention. There was some mention of the 2003 LCS when Aaron Boone of the Yankees hit a home run to beat the Red Sox in extra innings of a Game 7. People don't often mention, but this time they did, that the Yankees did not go on to win that World Series. They lost to us, the Marlins. This documentary is pretty much chronological. It's brilliantly edited. The interviews fascinate me because they got everybody. Kevin Millar moves the story forward. Curt Schilling seems absolutely normal, not easy to do. It's great to see Pedro again. Joe Torre has a few great words. There's a Grady Little sighting. Holy shnikes, who's thought about Grady Little? Anytime you see Jason Varitek or Derek Lowe, you got to smile. And of course, Big Papi. 3 episodes. It's about 3 hours total runtime. If you are a fan of a comeback in general, if you have a lot in life where you feel you're up against it and there's nothing you can do, the world is on your shoulders and they're literally taking a hammer to your nail, watch this documentary. It'll inspire you. It's never over till it's over. All you can do is keep going, always. Just keep going. That's what the Red Sox did. The story is told in that light. Of course, there's some stuff not in the documentary that made me laugh. So, Coca, here's what I'd like you to do, please. Forgot to hit the mute button there. Hi, my name's David. I'd like you to clip that review and stop it right before I cleared my throat and send that to Meadowlark, and you can say that that's what we did to promote the comeback. Then I want to talk about this, but don't show them this because I doubt they're watching. They may be. So many of you are, and I appreciate it. Such an opportunity to talk about so many other things. What John Henry was doing as the owner of the Red Sox, he had only been there after the franchise swap in 2002. When John Henry got the Red Sox, we went to the Marlins. The next year, the Marlins won the World Series. The year after, the Red Sox won the World Series. That's 2 franchises out of the 3 involved in this swap that was looked at very askance by many people within baseball, many people in the business community because they'd never seen anything like this. And in Boston, there was all sorts of talk because it was supposed to be an auction for the Red Sox, and John Henry just magically won the auction. Wink, wink. It's a great story how that all went down. It was supposed to be John Henry buying the Anaheim Angels, not the Red Sox, and then it became the Red Sox. How John Henry wanted Josh Beckett but didn't get him till later. So many interesting things that happened leading up to 2004. How Kevin Millar became a Red Sox. Fascinating. It would have been an interesting additional episode for sure. There could have been at least one more that would have given you some very good perspective about some of the other stories. The comeback is basically a baseball story that can be a metaphor for life, but there were so many other metaphors that could have been used with actual events as the catalyst. It is worth your time for sure. Maybe there'll be a part 2. We do corrections on this show. Yes, we do. Corrections are when we have just so you know what Coca Sarah and I do. And about this month, we're in October, about 92% of you, we keep getting new audience every month. Thank you. You know that we make corrections. I have no prompter. I have nothing but a few notes, and I make mistakes. And then you contact me at davidsamsonpodcast.com or David P. Samson on Twitter and just tell me what they were. Hi, David. Love the show. I have a correction for you. I'm a few days behind because I was out of town until today. By the way, we're available no matter what town you're in. That's one of the greatest things ever about podcasts. On Monday's show, that's a week ago, you set a score for a 4-foot in base. 4-8-69. You set a score for a forfeit in baseball as 1-0. I really thought that, actually. It's actually 9-0. The forfeiting team is charged 1 run per inning. Love your show. I appreciate that. I was in the game 18 years, and I always thought a forfeit was 1-0. I was never involved in one, never a part of one, never asked for one, never was granted one, never focused on what the score was of a game that had been forfeited. Couldn't think of a game that was. Maybe the disco night. Did the White Sox have to forfeit a game? Can we check that at some point, maybe for tomorrow's show, Coca? There was a disco demolition night in Chicago that I think the story of that, we watched a documentary, may have been between doubleheaders, between games. Maybe it was after a game, before a game. And I think there may have been a forfeit. And I guess that goes in at 9-0. Thank you. Appreciate the clarification. Nothing personal pick of the day. We went 2-1. I assume, did I not update my score? Looks like I'm about 12 games under. I was so distracted that I did not, and I apologize for that. We had the Dodgers over the Mets on Friday. That was the Mets winning game 5. That's a loss. But we did have the Yankees beating the Guardians, and they did. That was a game 4 on Friday. And then yesterday, what a pick we had. No one, and I was watching with some very knowledgeable baseball people. I really would like to be clear about this. The Chiefs were underdogs to the Niners yesterday. They were getting 1.5 points. I was very unclear as to why. I assumed I had the line wrong. I was willing to give 1.5 points. We had the Chiefs over the Niners. I was watching the game with a Niners fan who was explaining to me that that line was accurate because the Niners were at home. So it's almost like a pick'em game. You get 1.5 points for being at home. Deebo Samuel may have been sick. They did get the injured wide receiver they just signed. Remember him? Ayuk, they gave him a whole bunch of money, and he got hurt. Doesn't matter. Chiefs plus 1.5 was a victory. So we went 2-1 this weekend. Tonight, there is a double Monday Night Football. Don't let people call it a doubleheader. Don't, please. It's not a doubleheader. The games are like on almost at the same time. You got the Ravens at the Buccaneers. You have the Chargers at the Cardinals. The pick today, Kyler Murray and the Cardinals are getting a point at home from the Harbaughans, the Chargers. We're taking the Cardinals +1 at home versus the Chargers. That is our nothing personal pick of the day. Before we go today, we have about 6 minutes left. I want to clarify something. One of the best things about a live show is that there is time, there's audience interaction, Love that. I love that people are thinking about what I'm saying. I don't ever want you to agree or disagree with takes that I have or thoughts that I have. I just want you to think about them. I do, however, want to make sure that I am clear with what I say. I want to be very clear. You can boo anybody you want. Deshaun Watson is a player who deserves to be booed for his actions off the field. I was trying to be clear, and I will not back away from this, Coca, or anybody else. I do not agree with booing or cheering an injury under any scenario. Booing the person who does these despicable acts the way Deshaun Watson did, have at it. Not allowed to throw bottles at him, though. Don't agree with that. They didn't do that. There were bottles thrown at some college game I watched, maybe the Texas, when the number one team lost this weekend. So I hope that everybody out there is incredibly clear, because go back and listen to what I said earlier in the show, because I was very clear. It is disgraceful to defend Deshaun Watson and his actions off the field. It is pathetic to have a teammate go up there and say that he's a model citizen. But it is not right to cheer an injury or to boo because of an injury. You want to boo the player? Boo him all night long. All night long. I'm totally fine with that. Congratulations to the New York Liberty. Who watched the WNBA? New York got a championship last night. I only know it because Spike Lee was there. Yes, Jason Sudeikis was there too. Yes, I was able, because of those split screens, watch the WNBA game last night. Exciting, the number of minutes that get allocated on ESPN, on CBS, the number of minutes it gets talked about on the Levitard show, the number of topics that are involved in the business world that we get to talk about here or on the Sporting Class. It's amazing that Unrivaled, the league where Skipper's involved, has sold media rights to Warner Brothers. Everything is positive. Caitlin Clark, the numbers, everything. Except for me, the quality of play. Sorry, it just was one of those games. It happens. Now, there's some beautiful players. Their games are beautiful. It is a beautiful game to watch from time to time. The deciding game 5 between the Lynx and Liberty, it was a brick lane contest. Stewart could have won the game in regulation, hit a couple free throws. Liberty do prevail. I'm happy for them. We are going to talk about some harsh economic realities that the WNBA faces, because the WNBA as a business currently does not work. The WNBA is completely held up by the NBA, but I do not want to distract you from a good story. And a good story is a New York team has a title. There was Joe and Claire Sy. Wasn't that them getting the trophy? I was thinking to myself, I'd never seen the WNBA trophy before. I was thinking to myself, this is a big change. Caitlin Clark got me in. Angel Reese got me in. And I was interested because I knew when the games were. That's a step. And then I watched the deciding game. That's another step. We talk about the pipeline of fan interest. Not everybody is going to be obsessed with your team, your sport, your players. There'll be plenty of people who've never heard of anybody. There are people I know who don't know who Shohei Ohtani is. And that's totally fine. You want people all throughout your pipeline. And you want them growing their affinity. Always growing. Because people at the top will fall out. They'll die. And then you got to bring people in at the bottom. Well, I was in at the bottom. And I've moved my way up. I can name some of the players. I actually watched a playoff game. And I'm aware of the business side of the stories. Next year, my interest will grow even more. That is the beauty of why you have to market to people who know everything and people who know nothing. You have to, as someone with a microphone, talk to those who have heard of every WNBA player and follow it closely, but also make it interesting to those who don't know that the New York Liberty won the title yesterday and couldn't name the team in Minnesota if you gave them A-Rod's money. It's the Lynx. I was thinking, Coca, there's got to be a parade. We do a parade for the men's teams. There's got to be a parade for the New York Liberty. Do you do it in Brooklyn? Do you do it in the city? Is it confetti on Fifth Avenue? I'm looking for it because Spike Lee will be there. The WNBA crowned the Liberty. Baseball will be crowned a champion over the next 2 weeks, and we're here for it. It's just business. We'll be back tomorrow. This is nothing personal.